The morning I found the spaceship, I was looking for copper wire in the ruins of what used to be Edgewater Cove's South Pier. The tide was lower than usual, exposing barnacle-crusted foundations and the skeletal remains of a playground where I used to swing when I was 6, before the water started claiming everything. My name is Aiden Morrow, and at 14, I've gotten pretty good at pretending the world isn't falling apart. It helps that everyone else is pretending too. My sister Clara says it's a survival mechanism, like how your brain blocks out pain when it gets too intense. She would know. She's 22 and has been taking care of me since our parents died 4 years ago. The morning air tasted like salt and rust, which was normal for 2043. What wasn't normal was the smooth, metallic surface I spotted half buried in the sand about 50 meters from the old seawall. At first, I thought it might be part of a satellite or maybe debris from one of the orbital stations that occasionally fell from the sky. But as I got closer, my salvager instincts kicked in. This wasn't space junk. This was something else entirely. The object was about the size of a school bus, but sleeker, with curves that seemed to flow like liquid mercury frozen in time. Its surface was dark gray, almost black, but when the weak sunlight hit it just right, colors rippled across it like oil on water. No barnacles, no rust. No sign that it had been sitting in salt water for who knows how long. I should have walked away. Clara had 3 rules for salvaging. Don't go alone. Don't touch anything that looks military. And definitely don't mess with anything you don't understand. I was already breaking rule number 1. And this thing was quickly checking boxes 2 and 3. But copper wire was selling for 40 credits per kilo. And we needed to eat. Plus, there was something about the way the ship seemed to hum. Not with sound, but with possibility. It was like finding a door in a wall you'd walked past 1,000 times, and suddenly wondering what was on the other side. I reached out and touched it. The surface was warm, which made no sense given the cold morning, and smooth in a way that made my fingerprints feel clumsy and primitive. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a seam appeared where my hand rested, spreading outward in a perfect oval, about 2 meters tall. "Welcome back, Commander Aiden Morrow." The voice came from everywhere and nowhere, resonating through my bones rather than my ears. It was feminine, but not quite human, like someone had taught a symphony orchestra to speak. I jerked my hand back, but it was too late. The oval had become a doorway, revealing an interior that glowed with soft blue light. My brain screamed at me to run, but my legs had other ideas. They carried me forward, one step, then another, until I was standing inside something that definitely wasn't from Earth. The cockpit, if that's what it was, looked like someone had carved a room out of a single piece of dark crystal. Surfaces flowed into each other without seams or joints. In the center, a chair that looked more grown than built faced a curved wall of what might have been windows or screens or both. "Please, Commander, take your seat. We have much to discuss." This time, the voice had a source. A figure materialized in front of me, translucent and shimmering. She looked human, mostly tall, with features that were attractive in an almost mathematical way. Like someone had calculated the perfect proportions and then added just enough imperfection to avoid the uncanny valley. Her hair moved as if underwater, and her eyes were the same blue as the light filling the space. "I'm not a commander," I said, proud that my voice only cracked a little. "I'm 14. I'm in 8th grade. I'm nobody's commander." The hologram tilted her head, studying me with those impossible eyes. "Incorrect. You are Commander Aiden Morrow, born on Kepler 442b. Graduated from the Coalition Academy with highest honors. Leader of the 3rd Fleet in the rebellion against the hierarchy. You are younger than expected, but genetic confirmation is absolute. Look, lady, I don't know what kind of sci-fi nonsense you're trying to pull, but I was born in Portland General Hospital. I've never been off Earth. I've never even been on a plane. My designation is Ro, she said, as if that explained everything. I am your shipboard AI, bonded to your genetic signature and neural patterns. I have waited 63 years, 4 months, and 12 days for your return. The smart thing would have been to turn around and run, sprint back to our apartment, tell Clara about the weird ship, and let her figure out what to do. She was the adult. She was the one who knew how to handle things. Instead, I laughed. It came out high and slightly hysterical. Okay, Ro. Say I believe you. Say I'm some kind of space commander who just happens to look like a teenager who can't even grow a decent mustache. What exactly am I commanding? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like one ship and one confused kid. Ro's expression shifted to something that might have been amusement. You always did use humor as a defense mechanism. Some things, it seems, transcend incarnations. Incarnations. Perhaps we should start with recent history. Please, sit. This will take some time to explain. I didn't sit. Every instinct told me this was insane, dangerous, and probably illegal. The restricted zone signs I'd ignored to get here suddenly seemed a lot more important. I have to go, I said, backing toward the door. My sister will worry. Clara Morrow, age 22, genetic designation 77 Alpha. Yes, she will be concerned. She always was protective of you. I froze. How do you know about Clara? I know many things, Commander, including the fact that your parents, Doctors Marcus and Elena Morrow, were executed by the Aurum Division for attempting to expose the truth about humanity's first contact with extraterrestrial intelligence. I know you blame yourself for their deaths, though you were only 10 and could have done nothing to prevent it. I know you dream in languages you've never learned and wake with a taste of alien atmospheres in your lungs. My heart hammered against my ribs. The dreams were something I'd never told anyone, not even Clara. They'd started right after our parents died. Vivid nightmares of battles in places that couldn't exist, where the stars were wrong and the air sparkled with colors that had no names. What do you want from me? I want nothing. I am programmed to serve and protect you. But the universe needs Commander Aiden Morrow. The enemy you died fighting has found Earth. And this time, humanity has no fleet, no allies, and no knowledge of the threat approaching. Only you. I'm 14, I repeated, as if saying it enough times would make it matter. Age is irrelevant. You are who you are. I ran. I burst out of the ship and sprinted across the sand, my salvage bag banging against my hip with every step. Behind me, Ro's voice called out. But I couldn't make out the words over the pounding of blood in my ears. I scrambled over the rusted fence, tearing my jacket on the barbed wire, and didn't stop running until I reached the main road. By the time I got home, my lungs felt like they were full of broken glass and my legs were shaking. Clara was in the kitchen, trying to coax our ancient coffee maker into producing something drinkable. Find anything good? She asked without looking up. Just junk, I lied, dropping my nearly empty bag on the counter. She turned then, and her expression shifted from casual to concerned in an instant. What happened? You look like you've seen a ghost. Bad dreams catching up, I said, which was close enough to the truth. I'm gonna grab a shower. I locked myself in the bathroom and stared at my reflection. Same messy dark hair, same brown eyes, same face that couldn't decide if it wanted to finish puberty or take its time. Nothing about me screamed, Space Commander. I was just Aiden, the kid who collected scrap metal and told bad jokes and missed his parents every single day. But as I watched, something flickered in my reflection's eyes. For just a moment, they seemed older, carrying the weight of years I hadn't lived and battles I hadn't fought. Then I blinked, and it was gone. That night, the dreams came harder than ever. I stood on the bridge of a ship that made the one on the beach look like a rowboat, watching stars die in flowers of impossible light. Beside me stood figures in uniforms I recognized but couldn't name, their faces familiar and foreign at once. And through it all, a presence like a shard of ice in my mind, whispering in a language that turned my blood cold. I woke to find my tablet glowing on the nightstand. It was an old model, barely functional, that I used mainly for reading salvage guides. Now it displayed a single message in elegant script. "Commander, we need to talk. The dreams will only get worse. Let me help you remember. Ro." I grabbed the tablet and threw it across the room. It hit the wall and clattered to the floor, screen cracking but still stubbornly glowing. The message remained. "Aiden," Clara's voice came through the door. "You okay?" "Yeah," I called back. "Just dropped something. Try to get some sleep. We've got a big day tomorrow. Thompson's crew found some electronics in the North Quarter. Might be work for us." "Okay." I heard her footsteps retreat down the hall. On the floor, the tablet screen finally went dark. But I knew this wasn't over. Whatever that ship was, whoever Ro thought I was, it wasn't going to just go away. I pulled my knees up to my chest and watched the sky outside my window. The stars looked normal enough, distant and cold and uncaring. But now, I wondered what was out there, looking back, and whether it already knew where to find me. The next morning, I tried to pretend everything was normal. Clara made her usual joke about our breakfast protein paste that claimed to taste like eggs, but had clearly never met an actual chicken. I laughed in the right places, complained about having to help with salvage instead of staying home, and didn't mention the fact that every electronic device in our apartment had developed a tendency to flicker when I walked past. "You sure you're feeling okay?" Clara asked as we geared up. "You look tired." "Just those dreams again." She paused in checking her salvage pack. "The ones in the weird language." I'd made the mistake of talking in my sleep once, and Clara had been trying to figure out what I'd said ever since. "Yeah, those. Maybe we should see if Dr. Kim has anything that could help. I know sleeping pills are expensive, but..." "I'm fine." I cut her off. "Really? Let's just focus on finding something worth selling today." Thompson's crew had already picked the site clean by the time we arrived. Clara tried not to look disappointed, but I caught the way her shoulders slumped. We needed this score. Rent was due in 3 days, and our emergency fund had become more of an emergency memory. "We could try the beach," I suggested, trying to sound casual. "Low tide won't last much longer." Clara frowned. "The restricted zone, Aiden. You know that's off limits." "Since when has that stopped anyone? Besides, patrol hasn't been through in weeks. They're too busy with the food riots in New Sacramento." She chewed her lip, a habit she'd picked up from our mother. "Fine, but we stick together, and the moment something feels wrong, we leave. Deal." "Deal." My heart hammered as we approached the fence. Part of me hoped the ship would be gone, that I'd imagined the whole thing. The other part, the part that whispered in alien languages when I wasn't paying attention, knew better. The ship was still there, looking exactly as impossible as it had yesterday. Clara stopped so abruptly I almost ran into her. "What the hell is that?" "I don't know," I lied. She moved forward slowly, like someone approaching a wild animal. "It's not rusted. Nothing down here escapes the rust." "How is it not rusted?" "Really advanced paint." She shot me a look that said she wasn't in the mood for jokes. "This is military. Has to be. Maybe Chinese or European Union. We should go." "Wait." The word came out before I could stop it. "Aren't you curious?" "Curious gets people killed, Aiden. Curious got Mom and Dad killed." That hit like a punch to the gut. Clara rarely mentioned our parents directly, especially not what had happened to them. This isn't the same thing. Isn't it weird tech shows up? People start asking questions. Next thing you know, Aurum Division is kicking down doors. She grabbed my arm. "We're leaving. Now." But as she turned to go, the ship's door opened. "Welcome back, Commander. Ro's voice rang out, clear as crystal in the morning air. "And welcome, Clara. I've been expecting you both." Clara's face went pale. She shoved me behind her, which would have been funny if the situation wasn't so terrifying. "Who are you? What do you want?" Ro materialized just inside the doorway, in daylight. She looked even less human, her edges bleeding into the air like watercolors. "I am Ro, artificial intelligence of the vessel Remembrance. I serve Commander Aiden Morrow, as do you, in your way. My brother is not a commander. He's a kid. Your brother is many things, as are you, 77 Alpha." Clara flinched at the designation. "How do you know that name?" "I know everything about the project that created you. How they grew you in artificial wombs, programmed you with protective instincts, and embedded you in human families to watch over their investments. You were meant to guard him until he was ready. It seems you've done your job admirably." "You're lying." But Clara's voice shook. "I'm not. I'm human. I have memories. I remember our parents, our house in Portland before the floods." Implanted memories, carefully crafted to ensure emotional bonding. "Would you like me to show you your development records, your psychological conditioning protocols? The kill switches they built into your genetic code in case you ever became inconvenient." Clara stumbled backward, and I caught her arm. "Stop it," I told Ro. "Whatever you think you're doing, stop." "She deserves the truth, Commander. As do you." "The truth," I laughed, but it came out bitter. "The truth is that you're some kind of alien AI trying to convince me I'm a space commander reborn. That's insane." "Not reborn," Ro corrected. "Cloned. The original Aiden Morrow died 63 years ago, betrayed by someone he trusted. Before his death, he ensured his genetic material and memory engrams would be preserved. You are the result, a perfect genetic duplicate with the potential to access his memories and abilities. But I remember being born, growing up, our parents were part of the project. Doctors Marcus and Elena Morrow were brilliant geneticists who helped create both you and Clara. When they tried to expose the truth about the alien threat approaching Earth, the Aurum division eliminated them. Clara made a sound like all the air had been punched from her lungs. I held her tighter, glaring at the hologram. "Even if any of this is true, why should we trust you?" "Because in approximately 72 hours, Salak will arrive on Earth. And when he does, humanity's extinction becomes inevitable. Unless you remember who you are and why you fought." Salak. An image formed in the air between us, a figure that looked human, until you noticed the way its edges didn't quite match reality. Like a bad Photoshop job done by the universe itself. Just looking at it made my eyes water. "A Geltok shapeshifter," Ro explained. "Your former second-in-command and the architect of your death. He sold Earth's location to the hierarchy in exchange for power. Now he returns to claim his prize." The image shifted, showing ships that defied geometry, sliding through space like knives through black silk. Each one was the size of a city, bristling with weapons that looked more like abstract art than instruments of war. "The hierarchy fleet," Ro continued. "They consume worlds, strip them of resources and technology, and leave nothing but ash. Earth's defenses, your primitive nuclear weapons and orbital platforms, will last approximately 4 minutes against their initial assault." "So what?" I asked. "Even if I am this commander, what can one person do against that?" "Not one person. One commander with the knowledge of their weaknesses, the command codes to hidden resistance bases across the galaxy, and the ability to unite humanity with its potential allies. The original Aiden Morrow led a rebellion that nearly succeeded. You can finish what he started." Clara finally found her voice. "This is insane. Even if I am what you say, that doesn't mean Aiden has to be. He's just a kid. He is the only hope Earth has. Observe." The air shimmered, and suddenly, I was somewhere else. Not physically, I could still feel Clara's hand in mine, but my consciousness stood on a bridge made of singing crystal, watching stars wheel overhead in patterns that made my human brain ache. Alien crew members moved with purpose around me, their forms varying from humanoid to things that hurt to perceive directly. And in the center of it all stood a man who looked like me but older, scarred by battles and bearing the weight of command like armor. He turned, and our eyes met across impossible years. "Hello, self," he said. "Time to wake up." The vision shattered. I was back on the beach, gasping, with Clara holding me upright. My nose was bleeding, and my head felt like someone had tried to stuff a library into a matchbox. "What did you do to him?" Clara snarled at Ro. "I showed him a memory. The first of many he'll need to access." Ro's expression was sympathetic but implacable. "I apologize for the discomfort, but time is limited. The memory blocks will degrade naturally over the coming days. But the process is unpleasant." Memory blocks. I wiped blood from my nose, trying to process what I'd seen. Someone blocked my memories. The scientists who created you feared that full memory integration in a child would cause catastrophic psychological damage. They installed barriers, meant to erode as you reached adulthood. But Selak's early arrival means we cannot wait for natural degradation. "So what? You're going to force them all back at once that could kill him?" Clara's protective instincts were in overdrive. "Death is certain if he remains ignorant. The memories will return regardless in dreams, in fragments, in moments of crisis. I can help manage the process, minimize the damage." I looked at my sister because she was my sister, no matter what Rose said about her origins, and saw my own fear reflected in her eyes. But beneath that, I saw something else. Recognition. She believed it, at least parts of it. "The designation," I said quietly. 7-7 Alpha. You know what it means." Clara closed her eyes. Sometimes I know things I shouldn't. Combat techniques, security protocols, how to kill someone 17 different ways with common household items. I told myself it was from watching too many action movies. And the urge to protect me? I thought it was because you're my little brother. Because I love you. Her voice cracked. But it's more than that. It's like it's written into my bones. Sometimes I watch you sleep just to make sure you're still breathing. That's not normal, is it? I don't think either of us is normal." She laughed, wet and broken. "No, I guess not." I turned back to Ro. "Say I believe you. Say I accept that I'm some kind of clone with galaxy-saving potential. What happens next?" "Training, memory integration, preparation for Selak's arrival." Ro gestured to the ship's interior. "The remembrance contains everything you need: weapons, data, communication arrays to contact potential allies. But first, you must remember how to use them. And if I say no, then in 72 hours, Earth burns. And this time, there will be no rebellion, no hope, no second chances. The hierarchy will strip this world bare and move on to the next. Humanity will be a footnote in galactic history, remembered only as the species that almost mattered." I felt the weight of that settling on my shoulders like a lead blanket. 14 years old, and apparently the fate of the world rested on whether I could remember how to be someone who died before my parents were born. "I need time to think." "Time is the one resource we lack, Commander." "Don't call me that." I pulled Clara toward the fence. We need to process this. 1 hour. Give us 1 hour to talk, and then I'll decide." Ro nodded slowly. 1 hour. But know that every moment of delay brings Selak closer. And when he arrives, he will not come alone. We made it back to our apartment in silence. Clara mechanically made tea while I sat at our rickety kitchen table, staring at my hands. They looked like normal hands, a little scarred from salvage work, still with that awkward too big for my body quality that comes with growth spurts. Not the hands of a space commander. So, Clara finally said, setting a mug in front of me. Aliens. Aliens. I agreed. And you're a clone. Apparently. And I'm a genetically engineered bodyguard. Looks like... She sat down across from me. You know what the really messed up part is. It actually makes sense. Mom and Dad were always weird about certain things. Remember how they'd test our blood every month? Said it was for health monitoring. But what kind of parents need monthly blood samples? I thought all families did that. They don't. Aiden. I asked around at school once. People looked at me like I was crazy. She sipped her tea. And the language thing. You know, Mom spoke 17 languages, Dad knew 12. They said it was for their work. But what kind of genetics research needs that many languages? The kind that involves alien allies, I guess. We sat in silence for a moment. Outside, a transport rumbled past, probably heading for the distribution center. Normal life continuing while ours fell apart. What do you want to do? Clara asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to pretend this never happened. Go back to salvaging, scraping by, having normal 14-year-old problems. But the dreams are getting worse. And that vision Rose showed me, it felt real. Clara, like remembering something that happened yesterday, not decades ago. I met her eyes. What if she's right? What if I'm the only chance Earth has? Then we're screwed. Because you still can't remember to put your socks in the laundry basket. I snorted despite everything. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm serious, though. Even if you are this commander, you're also still you. Still the kid who cries at old movies and puts hot sauce on everything and can't walk past a stray cat without trying to pet it. That has to count for something. Maybe that's the point, I said slowly. Maybe I'm not supposed to be exactly like the original. Maybe I'm supposed to be better. Clara reached across the table and took my hand. Whatever you decide, I'm with you, genetically programmed or not. You're my brother. That's what matters. A knock at the door made us both jump. Clara was on her feet instantly, moving with a grace that now seemed less natural and more engineered. She peered through the peephole and relaxed slightly. It's Mrs. Patterson from downstairs. Our elderly neighbor stood in the hallway, clutching a tablet. Oh, good. You're home. Dear, something's wrong with my tablet. It keeps showing this message about someone named Ro. Clara and I exchanged glances. I took the tablet, and sure enough, there was a message. Time is running short. Commander. Selak's advanced scouts have entered the system. Please return. Just a glitch. Mrs. Patterson, I said, handing it back. Try turning it off and on again. She tottered off, muttering about technology being too complicated these days. As soon as the door closed, Clara's phone buzzed. Then mine. Then the ancient laptop we used for schoolwork chimed from the other room. Persistent, isn't she? Clara said. Every screen in the apartment was showing the same message. I picked up my phone and typed back, fine. We're coming. Stop hacking our stuff. The screens went dark, then displayed, apologies. Urgency overrode protocol. I await your return. You sure about this? Clara asked. No, but I'm sure about what happens if I do nothing. I grabbed my jacket. Besides, how often does a kid from Edgewater Cove get to save the world? Technically, you're from Kepler 442b. Not helping. The walk back to the beach felt different this time. The air seemed heavier, charged with potential. Every person we passed made me wonder, did they know what was coming? Would they believe it if I told them? Or would they just see a crazy kid with delusions of grandeur? Ro was waiting inside the ship, her holographic form more solid than before. Welcome back, both of you. Nice trick with the electronics, Clara said. Very subtle. Desperation makes fools of us all. Please, sit. We have much to cover and little time to cover it. The chair I'd avoided before seemed to pull at me. I settled into it, and it adjusted to fit my body perfectly. Displays came alive around me, showing star charts and data streams in languages I almost understood. The integration process will be uncomfortable, Rowe warned. Your young neural pathways must be carefully guided to accept the memory engrams without fracturing. I will monitor and adjust as needed. What about Clara? Her conditioning is different. She already possesses the skills needed. They simply require activation. A key phrase will unlock her full capabilities when necessary. What phrase? Clara demanded. You'll know it when you need it. For now, we focus on the commander. Rowe turned to me. Are you ready? No, but do it anyway. The chair hummed to life. Energy crawled across my skin like electric ants. Then the memories hit. I was 5 years old, watching my parents die not on Earth, but on a station orbiting a binary star. I was 30, leading my first raid against a hierarchy supply depot. I was 50, signing the alliance that would bind 7 species against our common enemy. I was dying. Selak's knife between my ribs, watching him smile with a face I'd trusted for decades. Each memory layered over my own, not replacing, but adding. I was still Aiden from Edgewater Cove, but I was also Aiden who'd walked on 100 worlds, who'd loved and lost among the stars, who'd carried the weight of rebellion on shoulders that had seen too much. Stop! Clara's voice cut through the cascade. You're hurting him! I realized I was screaming. Blood ran from my nose, my ears. My hands gripped the chair arm so hard my knuckles were white. But beneath the pain, understanding bloomed. No, I gasped. Keep going. I need to see. More memories flooded in. Battle tactics, ship specifications, the location of hidden bases scattered across the galaxy like seeds waiting to sprout. And through it all, Selak's betrayal, patient and complete. He'd spent decades earning my trust, learning our weaknesses, positioning himself as indispensable. When he struck, we never saw it coming. But there was something else. A memory that didn't fit, newer than the others. The original Aiden, dying, uploading not just his memories but a message. I failed because I trusted too easily, loved too freely, believed too deeply in redemption. Don't repeat my mistakes. But don't lose what made us human. The galaxy needs a commander. Yes. But more than that, it needs someone who remembers why we fight. Not for glory or revenge, but for the right to exist, to grow, to choose our own paths, be better than I was, be what they need. The flow stopped. I slumped in the chair, exhausted but whole. My head felt too full, like a balloon stretched to its limit. But I wasn't broken. I was more. How do you feel? Rowe asked. Like I died and someone else is wearing my corpse. I sat up slowly. But also, like I finally understand why I never fit in. Why I always felt like I was waiting for something. The memory integration will continue over the coming days. What you've received is perhaps 10% of the total. But it should be enough to begin. Begin what? Saving your species. Rowe gestured, and the ship's walls became transparent, showing the beach outside. But overlaid on that familiar view were tactical displays, energy readings, threat assessments. Selak's scouts entered the system 6 hours ago. They're performing reconnaissance, identifying defensive capabilities and population centers. The main fleet will arrive once they report back. How long do we have? 66 hours, assuming standard hierarchy protocols. I stood, surprised at how steady I felt. My body might be 14, but muscle memory from a lifetime of combat made me move differently. More balanced, more dangerous. What assets do we have? The Remembrance is fully operational, though its weapons are limited. There are 17 resistance cells on Earth, seeded by your original self before his death. They've been dormant, waiting for activation codes only you possess. Additionally, There are potential allies among the local stellar group species who remember the rebellion and might answer your call. Might. Your death was demoralizing. Many believe the cause died with you. Convincing them otherwise will require proof of your identity and commitment. Clara had been quiet through all this, but now she spoke up. What about Earth's governments, the military? Rose's expression turned sad. Compromised. The Aurum division has spent 6 decades ensuring humanity remains ignorant and defenseless. Key positions are held by those who either serve Selak or profit from the coming harvest. Any attempt to go through official channels will result in your immediate capture or death. So we're alone. You have each other. You have me. And you have the legacy of a rebellion that once made the hierarchy tremble. Rose smiled, and for the first time, it looked genuinely warm. I've served many commanders across many species. None inspired loyalty like Aiden Morrow. That inspiration lives on in you. I looked at Clara. You don't have to do this. Whatever you were made for, you still have a choice. She punched my shoulder gently. Idiot. I already told you where you go. I go. Besides, someone needs to keep you from doing anything stupidly heroic. The original Aiden had the same tendency, Rowe noted. It's what made him a great leader, and what got him killed. Then, we'll have to be smarter this time. I turned back to the displays, studying the data. Part of me, the new part, or maybe the old part, understood what I was seeing. Ship movements, energy signatures, the beginning of an invasion. Show me everything. Start with the resistance cells. If we're going to fight, we need an army. There's a cell in New Singapore, another in the Thames Reclamation Zone. The closest is actually here in the Pacific Northwest, hidden in the Seattle ruins. How many people? Unknown. They were instructed to recruit carefully, to prepare for your return. Whether they maintain discipline after 60 years. Only one way to find out. I pulled up the communication interface, my fingers knowing exactly where to touch. Open a channel. Encryption pattern, Zulu 77. Authorization Phoenix rises from ashes. Stars remember their names. The display flickered. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then a voice, old and tired, crackled through. This is Haven Base. We've waited so long. Is it really you? This is Commander Aiden Morrow, I said, the words feeling strange, and right at once. The wait is over. It's time to remind the galaxy that Earth doesn't kneel. Clara squeezed my shoulder. Rowe nodded approval. And somewhere among the stars, Selak's scouts finished their survey and began their journey home. The countdown had begun. The resistance cell in Seattle turned out to be 12 people living in a repurposed subway station, surrounded by enough weaponry to level a city block. Their leader, a woman named Sarah Kim who looked old enough to be my grandmother, cried when she saw me. You look just like him, she said, touching my face with weathered hands. Like he did in the old recordings. But so young. Different body, same mission, I said, trying to project confidence I didn't feel. What's your status? She led us through tunnels that had been reinforced with alien alloys, past chambers filled with equipment I recognized from memories, not my own. We're down from our peak. Time took its toll, but those who remain are committed. We've been preparing, training our children, keeping the faith. How many children? 17, aged 8 to 25. They know the stories, the techniques, but she hesitated. They've never seen real combat. Neither have most of us. Truth be told, we're rebels without a rebellion. That's about to change. I studied the tactical displays they'd maintained, noting population movements and defensive positions. Selak will hit major cities first. Decapitation strikes to eliminate leadership and break morale. We need to evacuate priority targets without triggering panic. How? Clara asked. Tell everyone aliens are coming, they'll think we're crazy. Not everyone. I pulled up data Roe had shown me. There are people in positions of power who know the truth, but aren't Orem. They've been waiting. Like Sarah's people. We give them the excuse they need to act. One of Sarah's lieutenants, a young man named Marcus, who couldn't have been much older than Clara, stepped forward. With respect, Commander, why should they listen to a teenager, even if you are who you say you are? Because I can prove it. I moved to their communication array, hands dancing over controls I'd never seen, but somehow knew intimately. Roe, connect me to the Ankari delegation on Luna Station. Encryption pattern, Dove 9 Alpha. The Ankari, Sarah gasped. They've been silent for 50 years. They've been waiting. The connection established, and a face that looked like a praying mantis made of crystal appeared on screen. Ambassador Victor, this is Commander Aiden Morrow. Phoenix rises from ashes. Stars remember their names. The Ankari's mandibles clicked in what I remembered was surprise. Impossible. You died. I grieved at your pyre myself. I got better. Selak's coming. Victor. 60 hours. Will the Ankari stand with Earth? You ask much, appearing as a child with a dead man's voice. The ambassador leaned closer, compound eyes studying me. Prove you are who you claim. I reached into memories that felt like yesterday and lifetime ago. The night before the Battle of Crimson Nebula, you told me about your daughter's first molt. You were worried she'd choose the warrior caste like you, instead of becoming a poet like her other parent. I said the galaxy needed both those who fought and those who reminded us why fighting mattered. You gave me this. I pulled out a chain I hadn't realized I was wearing until that moment, a small crystal that pulsed with inner light. An Ankari soul gift, given only to family. Victor's eyes widened. The harmonic resonance. It's truly you. Different flesh. Same spirit. The mantis being straightened. The Ankari remember their debts. Our ships are few, but they will stand with Earth. Thank you, old friend. I'll send coordination data soon. Phoenix out. The connection closed, and I found everyone staring at me. Marcus had gone pale. The Ankari haven't spoken to humans since the collapse. How did you? Because I remember being there when we first made contact. I remember earning their trust over years of shared struggle. I turned to Sarah. Get me a list of every resistance cell still active. We have 60 hours to turn scattered believers into an army. Commander, Roe interrupted. I'm detecting unusual activity in the Pacific. Energy signatures consistent with Geltok technology. My blood went cold. Selak's here already. Unknown, but someone is using a cloaked ship to approach Edgewater Cove. Clara grabbed her gear. Our apartment. Mrs. Patterson, the neighbors. They're not after civilians, I said. But I was already moving. They're after us. Selak must have detected the remembrance when I activated it. Sarah's people offered weapons, transport, backup. I took the weapons, a pair of pulse pistols that felt familiar in my hands, but shook my head at the rest. If it is Selak, numbers won't help. He's a shapeshifter who spent decades learning how to kill me. Our best bet is to face him on our terms. Your terms, Clara demanded, as we raced through the tunnels. Aiden, you just remembered how to tie your shoes in zero gravity. You're not ready for this. The original Aiden wasn't ready either. Still took Selak 30 years to work up the courage to move against me. I tried to project confidence I didn't feel. Besides, I've got something he doesn't expect. What's that? A genetically engineered sister who knows 17 ways to kill someone with household items. 23 ways, actually, Clara corrected. Just remembered a few more. We made it back to Edgewater Cove in record time. The Remembrance's emergency transport function dropping us a block from our building. The streets looked normal, kids playing in puddles, adults trudging home from shift work. The smell of algae and salt heavy in the air. Roe, scan for Zeltok biosignatures. Scanning. Commander, I'm reading 3 entities with variable quantum states. They're using perception filters to appear human. Where? Your apartment building. 2 in the lobby, 1... Oh no. 1 is already at your door. We ran. Clara moved like liquid mercury, all her engineered grace finally unleashed. I followed, muscle memory and desperation, letting me keep pace. We took the stairs 3 at a time, pulse pistols ready. The hallway was too quiet. Mrs. Patterson's door stood open, her usual afternoon cooking show playing to an empty apartment. Our door was ajar, hanging off broken hinges. Clara went in first, low and fast. I covered her, just like memories I'd never lived taught me. The apartment was trashed furniture overturned, papers scattered, our few possessions torn apart. And in the center of it all stood Mrs. Patterson. "Oh, dears," she said, turning to face us. I was so worried. These terrible men broke in. I tried to stop them, but her eyes were wrong. The warmth I'd known for 4 years was gone, replaced by something cold and calculating. And her shadow. Her shadow had too many angles. "Hello, Selak," I said. Mrs. Patterson's face rippled like water. "Clever boy. But then, you always were too clever for your own good." The disguise fell away, revealing the form from Rose's projection humanoid, but wrong. Edges that hurt to focus on. Though I must say, this new incarnation is particularly amusing. A child playing at war. How the mighty have fallen, says the shapeshifter hiding as an old woman. I've been watching you for years, little commander, living next door, baking cookies, listening to you cry for your parents in your sleep. His smile was all teeth. Did you know you talk in your dreams? Such interesting languages for a human child to know. Clara shifted beside me, ready to strike. Solak noticed and laughed. "Ah, the Guardian. 7-7 Alpha. Your parents did excellent work with her. Pity they had to die before seeing their creation fulfill its purpose." "You killed them," I said, pieces clicking into place. "You've been here all along, playing the long game." "Of course. Did you think I'd leave your resurrection to chance? I've guided every step. Your parents' research, their accidental discovery of alien technology, even their decision to activate you ahead of schedule. All mine. Why not just kill me as a baby?" "Because you were more useful alive. The Resistance needed hope to sustain them, to keep them from scattering completely. You were that hope, distant, but promised. And now, when you've so helpfully gathered them together, activated the old alliances, brought the scattered pieces into one place, now I can crush it all at once." The 2 other Geltok appeared at the doorway, blocking our escape. Their forms were less stable than Selak's, shifting between human disguises and something that made my eyes water. "The fleet will be here in 58 hours, Selak continued. "But why wait with you dead again and the resistance cells exposed? Earth's fate is sealed. Though I must admit, I'm curious about one thing." "What's that?" "How does it feel, knowing you're about to fail twice? That everything you fought for, died for, will end because you trusted the wrong face again?" "Pretty bad," I admitted. "But here's the thing about dying and coming back: you learn from your mistakes." "I shot him." The pulse pistol's beam caught him center mass, sending him stumbling back. His form rippled, trying to adapt to the energy frequency. But I was already moving, memories of 100 battles guiding my actions. "Clara, kitchen table." She understood instantly. Our rickety kitchen table wasn't just furniture, it was a weapons cache, something the original Aiden had taught the resistance cells to build. Clara ripped open the hidden compartment, tossing me a device that looked like a tuning fork made of crystallized light. "Harmonic disruptor," I said, activating it. "Ankari tech. Plays hell with shapeshifter biology." The device hummed, and all 3 Geltok screamed. Their forms lost cohesion, flickering between states like bad television reception. Selak tried to maintain his shape, but I could see the strain. Impossible. That technology was destroyed with the rebellion. You really thought I didn't plan for betrayal. I advanced, keeping the disruptor between us. The original Aiden spent his last hours seeding the galaxy with contingencies, weapons caches, sleeping allies, and yes, specific countermeasures for shape-shifting traitors. Clara had engaged the other two, moving with lethal precision. Every strike targeted the quantum nodes that Geltok used to maintain form. She was poetry in motion, violence given purpose. Selak backed toward the window. This changes nothing. The fleet still comes. Earth still burns. Maybe, but you won't be there to see it. He smiled. That terrible smile I remembered from my death. Won't I? He threw himself backward, crashing through the window. I ran to the edge, expecting to see him falling. Instead, a ship materialized sleek and predatory. Geltok design, Selak, reformed and whole, stood in its open hatch. Until next time, little commander, do try to make it interesting. The ship vanished, leaving only the smell of ozone and broken glass. Clara finished with the other two, their forms dissolving into quantum foam that evaporated like morning mist. She was breathing hard, but unhurt, splattered with something that might have been blood, if blood came in that particular shade of violet. We need to go, she said. If he knows where we live. He's known all along. I looked around our destroyed home, feeling strangely detached. This was never about killing me. Not yet. He wants me functional for when the fleet arrives, wants the resistance to hope right up until he crushes it. So what do? We disappoint him. I activated my communicator. Row, emergency extraction, and send a priority alert to all cells. We're accelerating the timeline. If Selak wants to play games, let's change the rules. The Remembrance's transport beam enveloped us, just as sirens began wailing in the distance. As we materialized in the ship, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the polished walls. Still 14, still too young for this. But behind my eyes, lifetimes of experience burned cold and patient. Round 1 to Selak, I said. Let's see how he handles round 2. Ro appeared, concern evident on her holographic features. Commander, are you injured? Just my pride. Status report, what did Selak's appearance trigger? 17 governments have gone to maximum alert. The energy discharge from your battle was detected by every major monitoring station. The Aurum division is mobilizing. Good. Let them panic. Send this message to every resistance cell. The masquerade is over. Phoenix rises now, not tomorrow. Anyone not ready to fight has 6 hours to disappear. Aiden, Clara said quietly. We can't fight the whole world in an alien invasion. We're not fighting the world. We're saving it. I called up the tactical displays, mind racing through possibilities. Selak made a mistake. He showed himself too early, proved aliens exist. That's going to make some people very interested in what we have to say. And the others will try to stop us. But that's why we have contingencies. I turned to Ro. Time to wake up some old friends. Send activation codes to Projects Lazarus, Prometheus, and Pandora. Ro's eyes widened. Commander, those projects were sealed for good reason. The potential for... I know what they are. I sealed them myself, lifetime ago. I met her gaze. But desperate times and all that. Besides, I have a feeling Selak isn't the only surprise waiting for us. As if on cue, proximity alarms screamed. The main display showed 3 ships dropping out of hyperspace, their configurations unfamiliar, even to my inherited memories. Who the hell are they? Clara demanded. Ro scanned frantically. Unknown configuration. Energy signatures don't match any recorded species. Commander, they're hailing us. The message is in Old Terran. Let's hear it. A voice filled the bridge, young and oddly cheerful. Ahoy there, Remembrance! This is Captain Jake Sullivan of the Free Fleet ship Defiant. Heard you folks were throwing a party to save Earth. Mind if we crash it? I stared at the ships on screen cobbled together from a dozen different technologies, held together by what looked like determination and duct tape. Who are you people? The grandkids of your old rebellion, more or less. Been keeping the faith out in the dark between stars. Mom always said when the phoenix rose again, we'd be there. A pause. So, you really a teenager? Because that's wild. Even for us. Despite everything, I laughed. It's a long story, you really here to help. Got 30 ships and 3,000 volunteers who've been training their whole lives for this moment. We're not much, but we're yours if you'll have us. Clara leaned in. Could be a trap. Could be. I studied the energy readings. Those ships were ugly but functional, armed with weapons that shouldn't exist. But I don't think so. Selak likes his traps subtle. This is too chaotic, Rose suggested. Human. I opened the channel. Captain Sullivan, welcome to the fight. Transmitting coordination protocols now. Fair warning, we're on an accelerated timeline, and half the planet wants us dead. Sounds like Tuesday for us. See you at the rendezvous, Commander Phoenix. The connection closed. Clara shook her head. We're building an army of misfits and children to fight an alien armada. Don't forget the genetically engineered guardians and awakened AI conspiracies. I pulled up star charts, marking positions. Oh, and whatever else crawls out of the woodwork in the next 50 hours. This is insane. This is hope. I turned to face her. The original Aiden lost because he fought alone at the end, trusted the wrong person. But look what he built, resistance cells that lasted 60 years. Allies who remembered across generations. Contingencies that survived his death. He didn't just plan for victory. He planned for resurrection. And Selak spent 60 years thinking he won, getting comfortable. While out in the dark, children grew up on stories of rebellion. Scientists continued forbidden research. Sailors cobbled together fleets from scavenged dreams. I smiled, feeling pieces click into place. He's playing the old game. We're writing new rules. Ro cleared her throat. A oddly human gesture. Commander, Projects Lazarus, Prometheus, and Pandora have acknowledged activation codes. They're requesting confirmation of authority. Confirm with biometric scan and memory engram verification. Authorization. What falls may rise. What dies may dream. What ends begins again. Confirmed. They're moving to Stage 2 readiness. She paused. Commander, Lazarus is asking if you want the full activation, or just the defensive protocols. Full activation. If we're doing this, we're all in. Understood. Estimated time to full operational status 16 hours. Clara was studying the tactical display. Those ships Jake mentioned, 30 vessels, plus 17 resistance cells planetside. Whatever these projects are, the Ankari promised support. Is it enough? Not even close. I called up the hierarchy fleet projections. Conservative estimates put their force at 300 capital ships, each carrying thousands of fighters. We'd need a miracle to match them, ship for ship. So we don't fight ship for ship. We fight smart. Asymmetric warfare, guerrilla tactics, and hopefully a few surprises Selak doesn't know about. I paused. Plus, one advantage he'll never see coming. What's that? I'm 14. You know what 14-year-olds are really good at: breaking rules and pissing off authority. I grinned. Let's see how the hierarchy handles Earth's most obnoxious teenager with an alien armada and a grudge. That's your plan. Be an annoying kid. Part of it. The other part involves quantum bombs, temporal loops, and possibly accidentally starting a galactic revolution. But we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Rose sighed, which was impressive for a hologram. I had hoped this incarnation would be more prudent. Where's the fun in that? I turned back to the displays. Now, let's see about getting Earth ready for the fight of its life. Ro, Open channels to every major news network. Use the emergency broadcast protocols. Commander, that will expose us completely. Good. Time to stop hiding. I straightened my jacket, trying to look older than my years. People of Earth, this is Commander Aiden Morrow. In 49 hours, an alien fleet will arrive to harvest our world. I'm here to tell you 3 things. You're not alone. You're not helpless. And we're not going down without a fight. I took a breath, feeling the weight of worlds on 2 young shoulders. Let me tell you about the war you never knew we were fighting. The broadcast went viral in minutes. Within an hour, every government on Earth was screaming for my head. Within 2 hours, riots had broken out in major cities, some demanding answers. Others claiming it was all a hoax. By hour 3, the first volunteers started arriving at resistance rally points. This is chaos, Clara said, monitoring the feeds. Half the world thinks you're a terrorist. The other half thinks you're the Messiah. Good. Chaos we can work with. I was coordinating with Jake's Free Fleet, learning their capabilities. Rigid order, that's what Selak expects. Earth governments following predictable patterns. Populations easy to control. This is messy and human, and exactly what we need. Sarah Kim's voice crackled over comms. Commander, we have a problem. Aurum Division forces are moving on our Seattle position. Estimate 300 troops. Full tactical gear. Can you evacuate? Negative. Too much equipment to move quickly. We'd have to abandon the heavy weapons. I cursed. We needed those weapons. Hold position. Help's coming. What help? Clara asked. Jake's ships are still 12 hours out. The Ankari are further. We don't have... Project Lazarus. Online. A new voice interrupted. Male. Gruff. Oddly familiar. This is Colonel Marcus Hensley. Someone want to explain why I'm not dead, and why my uniform says it's been 40 years. I winced. Colonel, welcome back. I know this is confusing, but... Confusing, kid. Last thing I remember is dying in an Aurum Division black site, because I wouldn't give up resistance locations. Now I'm in some kind of medpod with a dozen other deceased soldiers, and the computer's telling me aliens are invading in 2 days. 47 hours, actually. And yes to all of that. I need you and your people to... Save it. Sarah Kim's in trouble. Seattle position. Yes, but... We're moving. Lazarus out. The connection cut. Clara raised an eyebrow. Friend of yours. The original Aidens... One of the first to see through Aurum's lies. They killed him for it. Or tried to. I smiled grimly. Project Lazarus was our insurance policy. Leaders too valuable to lose. Preserved at the moment of death and hidden away. 13 of Earth's best tactical minds. Waiting for resurrection. That's deeply disturbing. That's forward-thinking. Another alert flashed. And apparently Prometheus is online too. This time, the voice was younger. Excited. Oh wow, it worked, Commander. This is Dr. Lisa Park. The AI collective is awakening. We have, let me see, 43 artificial intelligences coming online. Each running on distributed networks Aurum can't touch. 43. Rowe sounded offended. There were only supposed to be 12 in the Prometheus protocol. Yeah, well, they kind of reproduced, made children. It's been 60 years. They got bored. A pause. Is that your ship AI talking? Hi, I'm Lisa. Want to exchange data packets? Perhaps later, Rose said stiffly. I rubbed my temples, feeling a headache building. Dr. Park, can your AIs help coordinate defense networks? Can they, Commander? Give us 10 minutes and we'll have every automated system on Earth singing in harmony. Traffic lights, weather satellites, coffee makers, everything's about to get a lot smarter. Focus on military applications first, and try not to start a robot uprising while you're at it. No promises, Prometheus out. Clara was laughing. Your old self's contingencies were insane. Desperate times. I checked the countdown. 46 hours. Speaking of which, any word from Pandora? Nothing yet, Rowe reported. That project was the most heavily encrypted. Even I don't have full access to its parameters. That's because Pandora was the nuclear option. Hopefully we won't need... Every screen in the ship went black. Then, slowly, words appeared in burning gold. Pandora wakes. The box is opening, hope remains. Clara said. Should we be worried? Before I could answer, space around us exploded with light. Ships materialized, not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands. Every make and model, from every corner of human space. Freighters retrofitted with weapons. Pleasure yachts bristling with shields. Mining vessels turned into battering rams. What the hell, I breathed. A new voice filled the bridge, feminine and ancient. This is Pandora Prime. We are the dispossessed, the exiled, the ones who refuse to kneel. For 60 years we've hidden in the spaces between, building, preparing, waiting. The box is open. Commander, Hope's Armada stands ready. I stared at the tactical display, trying to process the numbers. There's over 5,000 ships out there. 5,743, Pandora Prime corrected. Plus stations, habitats, and mobile platforms. Your predecessor planned well. He gave the rejected and forgotten a purpose. We've spent 3 generations preparing for this moment. I didn't know the original Aiden created this. You didn't create us. You gave us the tools to create ourselves. Every ship out there was built by those Aurum deemed unfit for their new order. The gene-modified, the dissidents, the ones who asked uncomfortable questions. You called us humanity's hope in exile. We've tried to live up to that. Clara gripped my shoulder. Aiden, this changes everything. We actually have a fleet. A refugee fleet, I corrected, studying the scans. Most of those ships are held together by prayer and stubbornness, against the hierarchy. David had a stone. We have 5,000 stones and the will to throw them. Pandora Prime's voice carried steel beneath its age. Give us targets, Commander. Let us remind the universe that humanity doesn't break easily. I felt something shift inside me, not the inherited memories, but my own understanding. The original Aiden hadn't just planned for a last stand. He'd planted seeds of defiance across human space, trusting they'd grow wild and strange and strong. All ships. This is Commander Morrow. Welcome to the most insane military operation in human history. We have 45 hours to turn a scattered species into a unified force. Rules of engagement are simple. Protect Earth, confuse the enemy, and make them pay for every inch. The comm channels exploded with chatter confirmations, questions, declarations of loyalty from people I'd never met, but who'd waited their whole lives for this call. It was chaos. It was impossible. It was perfect. Selak's going to lose his mind, Clara said. That's the idea. I opened a priority channel. Colonel Hensley, status on Seattle. Aurum forces in retreat. Turns out 40 years of medical stasis makes you really irritable. Seattle base secure. Outstanding, Sarah. Start moving your heavy weapons to these coordinates. I sent a data packet. We're establishing a global defense grid. Every resistance cell becomes a node. Understood, Commander. Is it true about Pandora Fleet? See for yourself. I patched her visual feeds. Her gasp was audible across the connection. My God, we actually have a chance. More than a chance. We have momentum. I turned to Rowe. How's our friend Selak responding to all this? Massive encrypted transmissions to the outer system. He's reporting to the main fleet, requesting immediate acceleration of the timeline. Let him. Every hour they shave off is an hour less to organize. I called up the stellar positions. Jake, you monitoring this? Are you kidding? This is the best show in the galaxy. His enthusiasm was infectious. Want us to start harassing runs on Selak's position? Negative. Let him think he's safe for now. I want you to... I paused. A new thought occurring. Actually, can your ships mimic hierarchy signatures? Some of them. Yeah, we've been practicing for years. Why? Because I just had a terrible idea. I grinned. How do you feel about a little theater? I love theater. Good. Here's what we're going to do. The plan was insane, but that was becoming our trademark. As I explained, Clara shook her head. You're going to give me gray hair before I'm 25. Assuming we live that long? Optimist. She pulled up her own displays. While you're playing games with Jake, what do you want me doing? Activating your full potential. I met her eyes. Ro, it's time. Give her the activation phrase. Ro hesitated. Commander, once activated, the conditioning cannot be reversed. She'll have access to every combat protocol, every strategic enhancement, every... I know. I looked at Clara. Last chance to back out. She laughed. After all this, not a chance. Do it. Ro nodded solemnly. Clara Morrow, authorization 77 Alpha. The shepherd wakes to guard the flock. The sword remembers its purpose. Activate. Clara's eyes rolled back. She convulsed once, then went rigid. For 10 heartbeats. She didn't breathe. Then her eyes snapped open, and they were different, sharper, older, dangerous. Integration complete, she said, and her voice carried new harmonics. Tactical protocols online, strategic modeling online, combat effectiveness at 100%. She blinked, and suddenly, she was my sister again. Whoa, that's intense. You okay? I can calculate 17 different ways to disable this ship using only my bare hands. I know the weak points of every major species in the galactic registry. She paused. I can feel the conditioning, like a second set of instincts. But I'm still me, still Clara. Good, because I need my sister, more than I need a perfect soldier. I squeezed her hand. But I'll take both if you're offering. She squeezed back, carefully controlling her strength. So, what's my first mission, Commander? Take a strike team to Moscow. The resistance cell there has gone dark, but Prometheus detected AI signatures in their base. Could be a trap. Could be they need help. Find out which. On it. She moved toward the transport pad, then paused. Aiden, don't do anything stupidly heroic while I'm gone. Can't promise that. I know, she smiled. Try anyway. She vanished in a shimmer of light, taking 6 of Hensley's resurrected soldiers with her. I watched the empty space for a moment, then turned back to the war at hand. Ro, connect me with the Enkari. It's time to cash in some old favors. The hours blurred together. I coordinated with resistance cells, integrating them into a global network. The Prometheus AIs turned Earth's infrastructure into a weapon, ready to respond to invasion. Pandora fleet organized into strike wings, their ramshackle ships hiding surprisingly effective weapons. And through it all, reports flowed in. Clara's team extracted the Moscow cell from an Aurum trap, adding 30 fighters to our forces. Jake's free fleet successfully mimicked a hierarchy patrol, causing Selak to redirect his scouts to investigate. The Enkari arrived with friends, 2 Volan hive ships, and a Tyrellian dreadnought, all veterans of the old rebellion. But for every victory, new challenges arose. 3 resistance cells were exposed and destroyed before we could help. Aurum Division seized control of Earth's orbital defense platforms. Selak's scouts located Pandora Fleet's main staging area, forcing them to scatter. With 30 hours remaining, I called a war council. The Remembrance's bridge expanded to accommodate holographic representations of our allies, resistance leaders, ship captains, AI avatars, and alien commanders, all gathered in virtual space. Status report, I began. We have approximately 8,000 ships of various capabilities, 50,000 ground troops, and control of 40% of Earth's infrastructure. Against us, the hierarchy brings 300 capital ships, each worth 100 of ours in straight combat. Cheerful, Jake commented. So, what's the plan? Commander Phoenix. We don't fight straight. We use Earth itself as a weapon. I called up the battle plan I'd been refining. The hierarchy expects a primitive world with token defenses. Instead, they'll find a fortress. Every city becomes a trap. Every satellite becomes a mine. Every ship we have becomes a guided missile if necessary. Suicide runs? Sarah Kim looked troubled. Last resort only. But we make them think we're crazy enough to do it from the start. I highlighted key positions. The goal isn't to win a conventional battle. It's to make Earth too expensive to harvest. Bleed them, confuse them, make them question whether we're worth the effort. And Selak, this from Victor, the Ankari ambassador. Selak's mine. The words came out harder than intended. He'll come for me personally. When he does, I'll be ready. With respect, Commander. Hensley interjected. You're still physically 14. Enhanced memories or not. That body has limitations. Which is why I won't face him in that body. I turned to Ro. Show them. Ro projected schematics of a combat suit, unlike anything Earth had produced. It was based on coalition technology, updated, with 60 years of improvements. The Nemesis armor, designed specifically to counter Geltok shapeshifters. It's been constructed in secret aboard the Remembrance. When were you going to mention this? Clara asked, appearing in the council for the first time. When it was ready, which should be... I checked the construction status. 6 hours. Cutting it close. Story of our lives. I addressed the council. Questions, concerns, better ideas. The discussion that followed was heated, but productive. Strategies were refined. Contingencies planned. Roles assigned. By the end, we had something resembling a cohesive battle plan. It was still insane. Still desperate. But it was ours. As the council dispersed, Pandora Prime lingered. Commander, a word. I nodded, and we were alone on the virtual bridge. The original Aiden Morrow saved my life, she said. I was nobody, a gene-modified laborer deemed too unstable for civilized society. He saw potential where others saw waste, gave me purpose. He was good at that. You're not him. It wasn't an accusation, just a statement. You have his memories, his mission, but you're your own person. That's good. He was brilliant, but he was also rigid, unable to see betrayal until it was too late. And me? You're 14. You see the universe like someone who hasn't learned what's impossible yet. She smiled, and her avatar looked younger. That terrifies our enemies more than 1,000 battle fleets. Don't lose that perspective, Commander. It might be what saves us all. She faded away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. 28 hours to invasion. 28 hours to turn desperate hope into impossible victory. Commander, Ro interrupted. Clara is requesting immediate transport. She's found something in Moscow you need to see. Bring her home. Clara materialized moments later, carrying a datapad like it might explode. Aiden, you need to see this. We found it in the Moscow base's deep archives. Information about Mom and Dad's real project. I took the pad, scanning the contents. My blood went cold. This is... Yeah. Turns out they weren't just working on cloning technology. She met my eyes. They were working on something called Project Mirror. And according to these files, they succeeded. I stared at the data. Pieces of a larger puzzle suddenly clicking into place. Our parents' death. My activation ahead of schedule. Selak's confidence despite our growing forces. He knows, I whispered. Selak knows about Mirror. That's why he's not worried. What's Project Mirror? Ro demanded. I handed her the pad, watching her expression shift from confusion to horror. A way to copy consciousness between bodies. Not just memories, everything. Personality, skills, soul, if you believe in that. I laughed bitterly. Our parents didn't just create one backup of Commander Morrow. They created a way to make infinite copies. That's impossible, Rose said. Consciousness transfer at that level would require Zeltak technology, Clara finished. The shapeshifter's ability to maintain identity across form changes. Mom and Dad reverse engineered it. The implications hit like a tsunami. Selak has it. He must have taken it when he killed them. 4 years to perfect it, to produce. I couldn't finish the thought. An army of himself, Clara said quietly. That's why he's confident. Why should he fear 8,000 ships when he can be in 1,000,000 places at once? I slumped in the command chair, feeling every one of my 14 years. We'd been playing checkers while Selak set up a chessboard. Every move we'd made, every ally gathered, every contingency activated, none of it mattered if he could replicate himself endlessly. Commander, Rose said gently, this changes the tactical situation, but not the mission. We still have to... Have to what? I snapped. Fight an enemy who can be everywhere, who can replace every loss instantly, who's had 4 years to seed himself throughout human space. I laughed, high and slightly hysterical. We're not David facing Goliath. We're David facing an army of Goliaths who can respawn. Clara knelt beside the chair, forcing me to meet her eyes. Hey, look at me. You're spiraling. Of course I'm spiraling, I'm 14. Clara, I'm supposed to be worried about homework and acne, not shape-shifting aliens with cloning technology. You're right. Her agreement surprised me. You are 14. You shouldn't have to carry this. No one should. But you know what? That's exactly why you can... That doesn't make sense. Doesn't it? She smiled. An adult would look at the situation and see impossibility. They'd calculate odds, measure resources, and correctly conclude we're doomed. But you're 14. You're at the age where you still believe you can change the world just because it needs changing. Believing doesn't make it true. No, but it makes you try anyway. She stood. The original Aiden lost because he fought like an adult, strategic, logical, predictable. Selak spent decades learning those patterns. But you fight like a teenager. Chaotic, emotional, absolutely refusing to accept that the rules apply to you. Despite everything, I smiled. So your plan is to weaponize teenage rebellion. Why not? We've weaponized everything else. Ro cleared her throat. While this psychological moment is touching, we still need a practical solution to the mirror protocol problem. I stood, pushing aside despair through sheer stubborn will. Okay. Selak can copy himself. That's terrifying. But copies have to come from somewhere. They need resources, energy, base matter for the transformation. The Moscow files indicated each copy requires significant biological mass and a quantum entanglement anchor, Clara said. So he can't just infinitely spawn. There are limits. Limits we can exploit. I pulled up the stellar charts. Ro, scan for unusual biological shipments in the last 4 years. Focus on protein stocks, growth medium, anything that could support large-scale cloning. Scanning. Commander, I'm detecting 17 facilities across the system, showing suspicious consumption patterns. They're listed as agricultural centers, but the energy usage is consistent with clone farms. I studied the locations. Hidden in plain sight, building his army while we slept. A plan began forming. How many of Prometheus's AIs are combat-rated? 12 were designed for military applications. Why? Because we're about to commit the cardinal sin of warfare. I opened a channel to Dr. Park. Lisa, how do you feel about cyber warfare on a potentially galactic scale? Her response was gleeful. Are you asking me to hack alien cloning facilities because that sounds amazing? I'm asking you to do more than hack them. I want you to corrupt them. Turn Selak's copies against him. Make him question which thoughts are his own and which we've planted. Psychological warfare through digital means. Elegant, twisted. I love it. A pause. Give me 3 hours and a direct connection to one facility. My children will handle the rest. You'll have it. I turned to Clara. Feel up to another mission. Always. What's the target? The nearest clone facility. We need to get Lisa's AIs inside their network. I called up the tactical data. Fair warning, it'll probably be crawling with Celac copies. Good. I want to test something. She flexed her enhanced muscles. The conditioning gave me knowledge about Geltac physiology. I think I know how to disrupt their quantum coherence without tech. How? She grinned, and it was sharp as a blade. Turns out shapeshifters really hate specific harmonic frequencies. And thanks to Mom's modifications, I can hit notes that would shatter normal human vocal cords. You're going to scream them to death? Scream them to pieces. Important distinction. I laughed. Actually laughed despite everything. God, we're insane. Runs in the family. She gathered her gear. What about you can't coordinate a war and assault a base? I'll keep playing general. But first, I checked the Nemesis armor construction status. I have a date with some very advanced technology. If we're fighting copies, I want every advantage. Be careful. Both the armor and Celac are unknown quantities. Everything about this is unknown. I squeezed her shoulder. That's what makes it an adventure. She rolled her eyes but smiled. Teenage optimism is terrifying. Let's hope Celac agrees. As Clara prepared her strike team, I made my way to the Remembrance's construction bay. The Nemesis armor stood in its cradle, like a technological knight awaiting its lord. It was sleek where it should be, bulky where it needed protection, and hummed with barely contained power. The armor responds to neural interface, Rowe explained, manifesting beside me. Your enhanced memories include the control protocols, but your young nervous system may struggle with integration. Only one way to find out. I approached the armor, and it opened like a flower. Inside, the interface systems glowed with invitation. If this kills me, tell Clara she was right about everything. Noted, though I calculate a less than 3% chance of fatal feedback. Comforting. I stepped inside. The armor closed around me, and for a moment, I couldn't breathe. Not from physical pressure, but from the sheer sensation of connection. The suit's sensors became my nerves, its processors an extension of my thoughts. I could feel the ship around me, the space beyond, the quantum fluctuations of reality itself. Integration at 70%, Rowe reported. 80, 90. Commander, your neural activity is spiking beyond recommended parameters. I'm fine, I gasped. Though fine was relative. My 14-year-old brain was processing sensory input designed for someone decades older. But beneath the overload, I felt something else. The armor wasn't just a tool. It was alive in its own way, carrying echoes of its designer's intent. The original Aiden had poured everything into this, his knowledge, his regrets, his desperate hope that someone would need it someday. Hello, self, I whispered, and the armor pulsed in response. Integration complete, Rowe announced. How do you feel? I took a step, marveling at how the armor moved like liquid metal despite its bulk. Like I could arm wrestle a starship. I activated the weapon systems, watching energy cascade across the gauntlets, or punch Celac through a moon. Please don't actually attempt either of those things. No promises. I ran through diagnostic routines, muscle memory guiding actions my conscious mind barely understood. Any word from Clara? Her team is approaching the Moscow facility. Resistance is lighter than expected. That made me frown. Celac's pulling back. He wants us to find something. I moved to the bridge, the armor's heavy steps somehow silent. What are you planning, you bastard? As if in answer, every screen flashed red. A message appeared, written in the alien script I'd seen in dreams. Hello, little Echo. I see you found your predecessor's toy. Tell me, does it help you feel like him? Does wearing his armor make you forget you're just a pale copy of a dead man's dream? Celac, I growled. His image appeared not the shifting horror of his true form, but the face he'd worn as Mrs. Patterson, kindly, elderly, with eyes that had watched me for years. I must admit, you've exceeded expectations, activating the contingencies, rallying the outcasts, even discovering Mirror. Your original would be proud. Of course. He was proud of me too, right until I slid a monomolecular blade between his ribs. Get to the point. The point, dear boy, is that you're playing my game by my rules. Every move you make, I've anticipated. Every ally you gather, I've already turned or targeted. Even now, your sister walks into a trap. Your fleets gather in positions I've chosen, and your planet prepares for a war it's already lost. If you're so confident, why bother talking? He smiled, and it was genuinely warm. Because I'm fond of you, Aiden. 4 years of watching you grow, struggle, dream. You're not just his clone, you're what he could have been with better parents, a kinder childhood. It seems a waste to simply crush you. So what? You're offering mercy. I'm offering truth. Surrender now, and I'll ensure humanity's harvesting is humane, quick, minimal suffering. Continue this pointless resistance, and I'll be forced to make examples. Your sister, for instance. Those resistance cells you've inspired. Every person who believed in your impossible hope. The armor's system spiked, responding to my anger. You really don't get it, do you? Enlighten me. You think you know me because you watched me grow up. You think you understand humans because you've lived among us. But you missed the most important part. I leaned forward. We're not rational. We don't surrender just because the odds are impossible. We fight anyway, because that's what makes us human. How poetically futile. Maybe, but here's what you missed while you were playing cosmic chess. Humans are really good at flipping the board. I cut the connection and immediately opened a channel to Clara. Abort mission. It's a trap. Her response came through gunfire. Little late on that warning facility's crawling with copies. But Aiden, they're all him. Every single guard has Selak's face. Can you get out? Working on it. But I got Lisa's package inserted. Whatever happens, the AIs are in his network. Then, get clear. Phase 2 starts now. I activated the fleet-wide comm. All units. This is command. Operation Flip the Board is go. I repeat. Flip the Board is go. Across human space, our forces moved. Not toward defensive positions or strategic targets, but toward something else entirely. Jake's Free Fleet began broadcasting on every frequency. Not military data, but music, human music. From every culture and era. Pandora Fleet activated beacons that had been hidden for decades, each one screaming a single message into the void. Humanity lives. Humanity fights. Humanity remembers. Commander, Ro said quietly, what are you doing? Something Selak won't expect. Something the original Aiden would never have tried. I brought up the galactic communication grid. I'm calling for help. Not from governments or militaries, but from everyone who's ever dreamed of freedom. The Prometheus AIs took my message and amplified it, pushing it through every network, every system, every quantum entanglement in human space and beyond. My name is Aiden Morrow. I'm 14 years old, and in 20 hours, aliens are coming to harvest my world. Not because we're special, but because we're just the next target in an endless consumption. They've done this before. They'll do it again, unless we stop them. I'm not asking you to fight for Earth. I'm asking you to fight for the principle that people, all people, everywhere have the right to exist without fear of being deemed resources. The hierarchy thinks the galaxy belongs to them. I say it belongs to anyone brave enough to claim their piece of it. If you're out there, if you're listening, if you've ever looked at the stars and thought there has to be something better, now's your chance to prove it. Stand with Earth, not because you owe us, but because tomorrow it could be your world in their sights. 20 hours. That's all the time we have to show the universe that some things are worth fighting for, even when the fight seems impossible, especially then. This is Commander Aiden Morrow, last of the Phoenix Rebellion, first of something new. I'll see you in the black. The message went out, racing faster than light toward every inhabited system in the local group. Most would ignore it. Many wouldn't even understand it. But some. Incoming communications, Rowe reported, her voice odd. Commander, we're being hailed by everyone. The tactical display exploded with new contacts. Ships appearing at the edge of sensor range, not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands upon thousands. Traders who'd heard the message and decided profit meant nothing if there was no future. Colony ships that turned around, their passengers choosing to fight rather than flee. Pirates who figured saving the galaxy might balance their ledger. And among them, alien vessels, Ankari swarm clusters, Volan bioships, even a few Tyrellian dreadnoughts, their captains remembering old alliances. But most surprising were the ships I didn't recognize, species the original Aiden had never encountered, drawn by the simple audacity of a 14-year-old declaring war on the inevitable. How many? I whispered. Still counting, Rose said. But conservative estimates put the response fleet at over 30,000 vessels, and more are coming. Clara's voice crackled through comms. Aiden, what did you do? I asked nicely, I said, stunned by the response. I just asked. Commander, Jake's excited voice broke in. You seeing this, half the galaxy just showed up for your birthday party. It won't be enough, Hensley warned, ever the pragmatist. 30,000 civilian ships against 300 hierarchy capital vessels. It's not about the math, I interrupted. It's about the message. Selak thinks he's performing a harvest. Instead, he's flying into the biggest screw you in galactic history. Poetic, Pandora Prime observed. Suicidal, but poetic? Maybe. But look at the psychological impact. The hierarchy rules through fear, through the certainty that no one will stand against them. What happens when 30,000 ships say otherwise? We find out in 19 hours, Clara said. She'd made it back to the Remembrance, bloodied but victorious. By the way, little brother, your girlfriend says hello. My what? Roe. The AIs are in Selak's network, and they're having a wonderful time. Apparently, his security protocols are 60 years out of date. They're rewriting his clones faster than he can produce them. I felt a savage grin spread across my face. Good. Let him deal with an identity crisis while we... Proximity alarms screamed. The main tactical display showed new contacts, but these weren't friendly. 300 hierarchy ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation, each one a city-sized testament to alien engineering. They were early. All ships, I broadcast, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Looks like the party's starting ahead of schedule. You know the plan. Make them remember Earth. The battle for Earth began not with massive fleet engagements, but with pure chaos. Jake's free fleet, still broadcasting human music, dove straight into the hierarchy formation. Their ships were outclassed in every way, but they moved like madmen, using ramming runs and suicide charges to break the enemy's perfect lines. Pandora fleet came from another vector, their refugee ships launching everything from mining charges to jury-rigged nuclear weapons. Most bounced harmlessly off hierarchy shields, but the psychological impact was clear. The ordered formations began to fragment as captains tried to process an enemy that simply didn't care about survival. The alien allies hit from above and below the ecliptic, using tactics born from the old rebellion. They knew where hierarchy ships were vulnerable, which systems could be overloaded, which commanders would panic first. And through it all, Earth itself fought back. The Prometheus AIs turned every satellite into a weapon, every piece of space debris into a guided missile. Weather control systems created electromagnetic storms in the upper atmosphere. Even the old GPS network became a weapon, broadcasting signals that interfered with hierarchy navigation. But we were still losing. For every hierarchy ship damaged, we lost 100 of ours. The technological gap was simply too vast. Their shields shrugged off attacks that would have shattered moons. Their weapons carved through our formations like plasma through paper. "Commander," Rowe reported, "we've lost 40% of our forces in the first 10 minutes. "Hold the line," I ordered, even as my heart broke for every life lost. "We just need to—" "Aiden!" Selak's voice cut through the battle chatter. "Enough. You've made your point. The galaxy knows Earth will fight. Let that be your epitaph." He appeared on screen. And this time he wasn't alone. Dozens of him stood in frame, each wearing a different face, but all unmistakably Selak. "You see your virus in my network, your corruption of my copies meaningless. I am Legion. I am inevitable. And I tire of these games." One of the hierarchy ships broke formation, accelerating toward Earth. Its weapons powered up. Not the surgical strikes they'd been using, but something far worse, a planet cracker, designed to split worlds down to the core. No, I diverted the remembrance, pushing its engines beyond safe limits. We wouldn't make it in time. Nothing would. Except— "Commander," Clara said quietly, "the conditioning's telling me something. A last resort protocol. Something Mom and Dad built into both of us." "Clara, no." "It's okay," she smiled, and there were tears in her eyes. "I was made to protect you. Let me do my job." Before I could stop her, she activated the transport beam, but not to leave the ship to merge with it. Her enhanced biology interfaced directly with the Remembrance's systems, and suddenly our small ship moved like nothing human engineering could explain. We reached the planet cracker just as it fired. Clara, Remembrance took the hit. The energy that could split a world struck our shields, and Clara screamed through every speaker. But she held. Somehow, impossibly, she held. The ship's hull began to glow, then burn, as she channeled planet-killing energy through systems never meant to handle it. "Clara, got to redirect it." Her voice was static and pain. "Can't absorb, but can deflect." She twisted space itself, using principles the conditioning had buried in her cells. The planet cracker beam bent, curved, and shot back toward its source. The hierarchy ship had one moment to register impossibility before its own weapon tore it apart. The Remembrance tumbled, systems failing, Clara's life signs dropping toward zero. "Transport her out," I screamed at Rowe. "I can't. She's integrated too deeply. Separating them now would—" "Do it anyway." Light filled the bridge as emergency transport engaged. Clara materialized, but she was wrong. Parts of her flickered between human and ship systems. Her eyes showed stars instead of irises. "Did I do good?" she whispered. "You did amazing." I caught her as she collapsed. "Stay with me. We'll fix this." "Can't fix what was meant to break." She touched my face with a hand that felt like stardust. "But worth it. To see you burn bright." She dissolved. Not died, dissolved. Into light. Into data streams. Into something beyond human or ship. I could feel her in the Remembrance's systems. Not gone, but transformed into something new. "Selak," I roared, and the Nemesis armor responded to my rage. "Face me, you coward! Stop hiding behind your copies and face me." "As you wish." A small ship separated from the hierarchy fleet, Zeltok design, fast and lethal. It streaked toward the Remembrance's crippled form. "Commander, we're in no condition for combat," Rowe warned. "Systems are failing. Weapons are—" "I don't need weapons." I moved to the airlock. "I have rage." I launched myself into space. The Nemesis armor's flight systems engaged, propelling me toward Selak's ship like a missile. Behind me, The battle raged, our forces selling their lives dearly, making the hierarchy pay for every meter of space. Selak's ship opened, and he emerged, wearing armor of his own, shifting, organic, alive. We met between our vessels, two warriors in the void, surrounded by the largest battle in human history. "You killed her," I said. "She killed herself. I merely provided opportunity." He circled me, his form constant shifting. "Just as the original Aiden killed himself through trust. You're all so eager to die for each other. It's your greatest weakness." "No," I attacked, the Nemesis armor's weapons blazing. "It's our greatest strength." We fought among the stars. Two philosophies made manifest. His shape-shifting against my armor's adaptability. His experience against my desperate innovation. Neither of us held back. This was the real battle. The one everything else revolved around. He was better. Of course he was. Centuries of experience against my 14 years and borrowed memories. He landed more hits, exploited more openings, pushed me steadily toward defeat. But I had something he didn't. "You're wondering why you can't predict me," I said, dodging a strike that should have killed me. "Why your perfect analysis of the original Aiden doesn't apply. You're still him, still bound by his patterns." "Am I?" I laughed, tasting blood inside my helmet. "I'm 14, Silak. I've got his memories. But I've also got high school anxiety and teenage hormones, and a brain that won't finish developing for another decade. I'm not him. I'm something you've never faced, a child with the power of a commander, and absolutely no inhibitions about using it. I did something the original would never have done. Something no sane military commander would consider." I hugged him. The Nemesis armor wrapped around Selak's shifting form and squeezed. He tried to escape, to shift to something smaller, but the armor adapted, matching him, change for change. And while he was trapped, I activated every weapon, every system, every self-destruct protocol the armor had. "What are you doing?" He sounded genuinely confused. "Something really stupid," I admitted, "but also really human. We call it taking you with me." The armor began to overload. Energy cascaded across its surface, building toward critical mass. Selak struggled harder, his form losing cohesion. "You'll die too." "Maybe. But here's the thing about humans. Selak, we're really good at coming back from the dead. The explosion, when it came, was visible from Earth. I died. It wasn't peaceful or poetic. It was pain and light and the sensation of every atom in my body deciding to go different directions. But in that moment of dissolution, I felt something else. Clara. She was in the quantum foam, in the space between spaces where ship and human and data intersected. She caught what was left of me, not my body, which was vapor, but the pattern of who I was. "Not letting you go that easy, little brother." "Clara, how?" "Mom and Dad were geniuses. Remember? They didn't just make me your protector. They made me your anchor, your backup drive." Her presence wrapped around mine. "The body's gone, but you're just data now, and I know exactly what to do with data." Reality twisted. I gasped, actually gasped, with lungs that shouldn't exist, and found myself standing on the Remembrance's bridge. Not the broken, failing bridge we'd left, but something new. The ship had rebuilt itself around Clara's consciousness, and now it was rebuilding me. "What am I?" I looked at my hands, solid but shot through with starlight. "Complicated," Ro answered. She looked different too, more real, as if the distinction between hologram and person had blurred. Part human, part data construct, part something entirely new. Clara saved your consciousness and gave it form. "Where is she?" "Everywhere." Clara's voice came from the walls themselves. "I'm the ship now. Aiden. Or the ship's me. Either way, we're winning." I looked at the tactical display. She was right. Selak's death had thrown the hierarchy into chaos, not just his death, but all his deaths. Every copy had felt the original die, and the psychic backlash was catastrophic. Some went mad. Others turned on each other, unsure which thoughts were their own. And our ragtag fleet pressed the advantage. Civilian ships rammed capital vessels. Miners turned asteroids into kinetic weapons. Even Earth itself seemed to rise up, launching every nuclear weapon, every satellite, every piece of human defiance we could muster. "They're retreating," Jake whooped over comms. "The bastards are actually retreating." It was true. The perfect hierarchy formation had become a rout. Ships fled in every direction, their commanders unable to process an enemy that simply refused to acknowledge the rules of warfare. But it wasn't over. It would never be truly over. We'd won this battle, but the hierarchy still existed, still threatened countless worlds. "Commander," Victor's voice was solemn. "What are your orders?" I looked at the Allied fleet, battered, bloodied, but unbroken. Humans and aliens united by shared defiance. A rebellion reborn, not from military might, but from the simple belief that tomorrow could be better than today. "We follow them," I said. "Not to conquer, but to liberate. Every world under hierarchy rule gets the same choice we gave the galaxy today, kneel or fight. And we'll stand with everyone who chooses to fight." "The eternal war," Roe murmured. "The original Aiden would be proud." "The original Aiden is dead. This is our war now," I smiled, feeling the weight of command settle on shoulders that might be made of starlight but still felt 14 years old. Besides, someone needs to keep the universe interesting. The fleets began to form up, preparing for pursuit, but I had one last thing to do. Open a channel to Earth, wide broadcast. The connection established, and I faced the planet I died to protect. "People of Earth, this is Aiden Morrow. We won. The hierarchy is in retreat, but this isn't the end, it's the beginning. We've shown the galaxy that Earth doesn't kneel. Now we need to show them what we stand for." The war continues, but it's not just our war anymore. It belongs to everyone who believes freedom is worth fighting for. We're going to chase the hierarchy across the stars, and we're going to free every world they've claimed. Not as conquerors, but as liberators. Not as Earth forces, but as something new, something better. If you want to join us, we'll be waiting among the stars. If you want to stay and rebuild, we understand. Either way, Earth is free. You're free. And that freedom was bought by thousands who believed a 14-year-old kid when he said impossible things. Don't let their sacrifice be forgotten. And don't let anyone human or alien ever make you kneel again. This is Commander Aiden Morrow, signing off. See you in the black. I closed the channel and turned to face the stars. Behind me, Earth spun blue and green and alive. Ahead, the galaxy waited, full of threats and possibilities. "So," Clara said, her voice warm with sisterly affection, "ready to save the universe?" "I'm 14, I laughed. "I don't even know how to do laundry properly." "Good thing you've got me then." The ship, my sister hummed with power. "Where to first?" I thought about it. About the hierarchy worlds that needed freeing. About the allies who'd answered an impossible call. About the future we'd just claimed with blood and defiance and really terrible tactical decisions. "Everywhere," I said. "We're going everywhere." The remembrance turned toward the stars, and a fleet born of desperation followed. We were battered, we were impossible, and we were glorious. And somewhere in the quantum foam, where data and consciousness merged, the original Aiden Morrow's last message finally made sense. Be better than I was. Be what they need. I was trying. We all were. The Phoenix had risen. Now it was time to see how far we could fly. Epilogue, 6 months later. The council chamber on New Ankara was designed to intimidate. Crystalline walls that showed the soul. Gravity fluctuations that tested resolve. Architecture that whispered of age and authority. The Galactic Council had stood for 10,000 years. outlasting empires and rebellions alike. I sat in the witness chair, still getting used to my new body, mostly human, partially data construct, entirely unique. The council members studied me with expressions ranging from curiosity to hostility. "State your name for the record," the presiding elder commanded. "Aiden Morrow, commander of the Free Fleet, 14 and 3/4 years old, by Earth reckoning." Someone snorted. Several others made their species equivalent of disapproval. "You have caused significant disruption," the elder continued. "In 6 months, you've liberated 17 hierarchy worlds, sparked rebellions in 30 others, and fundamentally altered the balance of power in this sector. You're welcome." That wasn't a compliment. The hierarchy brought order, predictability, peace of a sort. "The peace of the grave," I countered. "The order of the slaughterhouse. If that's what this council values, maybe it's time for new leadership." The chamber erupted. Threats, demands, calls for my arrest. I sat through it all, remembering Clara's advice. Let them exhaust themselves, then speak truth. When the noise finally died, I stood. 10,000 years ago, someone built this chamber. They believed in something: justice, maybe, or balance, or just the radical idea that different species could talk instead of fight. That belief became this council. But somewhere along the way, you forgot. You let the hierarchy exist because it was easier than fighting them. You let worlds burn because it wasn't your worlds burning. You became so focused on maintaining order that you forgot what order was for. I'm 14. In cosmic terms, I'm nobody. But I remembered something you forgot: that every life matters. That freedom is worth chaos. That tomorrow can be better than today if someone's willing to fight for it. So yes, I caused disruption. I'll cause more, because out there are billions waiting for someone to tell them they matter. And until this council remembers why it exists, the Free Fleet will be their voice. Silence stretched through the chamber. Then, from the back, slow applause. An Ankari delegate stood, then another. Soon, half the chamber was standing: the younger members, the ones from smaller worlds, the ones who remembered what it felt like to fear the night. The presiding elder's expression was unreadable. "You speak with passion, young human, but passion fades. What happens when you're no longer 14, when the fire dims?" Then someone else picks up the torch. I smiled. "That's the thing about hope, it's contagious. You can kill me, destroy the Free Fleet, silence every voice of rebellion, but you can't kill the idea we represent. Someone, somewhere, will always refuse to kneel. And if we offered you a seat on this council, a voice in shaping galactic law..." The offer surprised me. "Are you..." "Perhaps, if you'll work within the system instead of against it." I thought about it. The original Aiden would have said no, too proud, too rigid. But I wasn't him. One condition: the hierarchy gets no voice here, no legitimacy. They're criminals, not a government, and they get treated as such. Murmurs through the chamber. The elder leaned forward. "That would mean war, real war, not your raids and liberations." "Then we'd better win it." Another long silence. Then, "We'll vote. You'll have our answer within the day. Until then, you're our guest." As I left the chamber, Roe materialized beside me. "That went better than projected. 70-30, they try to arrest me before the vote. 60-40. Clara's been quite persuasive about the consequences of such action." I smiled, thinking of my sister ship in orbit, casually reminding everyone that pissing off the person who took down Selak might be unwise. "Any word from Jake?" "His latest raid freed 3,000 Vorten slaves. He's calling it Operation Teenage Rebellion in your honor." "Of course he is." We walked through corridors that had seen millennia pass. "Think we're doing the right thing?" "You're asking an AI about moral philosophy." "I'm asking a friend." Rose smiled, and it was warm and real. The original Aiden never asked that question. He always knew he was right. You question, you doubt, you adapt. That's why you'll succeed where he failed. Or fail in new and interesting ways. Also possible, but you'll fail forward, as Clara says. We reached the guest quarters luxurious by any standard, definitely bugged by a dozen intelligence agencies. I collapsed on something that might have been a couch. 6 months, I mused. 6 months ago, I was scavenging copper wire. Now I'm negotiating with the Galactic Council. Regrets? None. Well, maybe one. I closed my eyes. I never did finish 8th grade. Think they'll let me take the exams remotely. Ro laughed, actually laughed. Only you would worry about middle school while reshaping galactic politics. Hey, education's important. How else will I learn enough big words to argue with 1,000-year-old politicians? A chime indicated incoming communication. Clara's presence filled the room, warm and protective even through the quantum interface. Baby brother, we've got a situation. Hierarchy remnants massing near the Veil Nebula. Looks like they're planning something. I sighed, sitting up. How many? 50 ships, but they're moving weird. Like they're protecting something. Selak had contingencies too. Ro noted. We should investigate. After the vote, I decided, one crisis at a time. Since when do you do one crisis at a time? Clara teased. Since I realized even teenage energy has limits. I stretched. How's the ship? I'm good. Better than good. Actually, Lisa's AIs have been teaching me some tricks. Did you know I can exist in 17 dimensions simultaneously now? Please don't break physics. We've caused enough chaos. Says the kid who hugged a shapeshifter to death. It worked, didn't it? We bantered, the three of us, as stars wheeled outside and the galaxy held its breath. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, the Council's decision, the hierarchy's schemes, the 1,000 small fights that made up our larger war. But tonight, I was just Aiden, 14 3/4, brother to a ship, friend to an AI, commander of the impossible. And despite everything, or maybe because of it, I was happy. Hey, I said suddenly. Thanks, both of you, for everything. Always, Clara replied. Forever, Ro added. Outside, someone started a protest, then a counter-protest, then probably a riot. The old order struggling against the new, chaos versus control, the eternal dance of progress. I smiled and closed my eyes. Let them riot. Let them argue. Let them fear and hope and dream. That's what we'd fought for. Not peace. Peace was easy if you didn't care about the cost. We'd fought for the right to be messy, complicated, human. Even if some of us weren't technically human anymore. Wake me if the universe ends, I mumbled. Which universe? Clara asked. I can see several from here. The one where I have to give another speech tomorrow. That one's safe, probably. Good enough. And in the guest quarters of the Galactic Council, while history pivoted on its axis and the future rewrote itself, the youngest commander in galactic history took a nap. After all, even universe-saving teenagers needed their sleep.